We're waiting to hear word on the status of Juan Soto. We'll talk about that and more coming up here on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code ROTOPOD for a 100% deposit match. I'm Clay Link of RotoWire.com here with FSWA Hall of Famer, Mr. Todd Zola. Always a pleasure talking with you, Todd. And we all are kind of waiting with bated breath to hear about the status of Juan Soto. The Yankees are saying that Jason Dominguez being pulled from a game last night. Not related, but seems like the Yankee fan base and fantasy managers are on pins and needles, hoping for the best for Juan Soto.
Right. The Dominguez is interesting in that he hasn't played a game in the outfield yet. It's only been a designated hitter. Just recently moved up to AAA Scranton. So it's getting closer, and the club would love to get Aaron Judge to a corner, probably right field, and let Dominguez roam center field. But it does sound like it's not the move. Maybe they're just saying it, but it doesn't sound like it's a precursor to being called up for Juan Soto. The Soto thing's interesting, right, in that he's been playing with it for a week. Thanks for letting us know, although they weren't under any requirement to do so. But it was weird that it was during the rain delay, right, that he started the game last night and had his arm checked during the rain delay, and they decided to shut him down and send him. You're heading up the notes. Imaging is the buzzwords now. It's instead of going for an MRI, it's just imaging because it covers whatever it is that they're going to do, right?
Yeah, X-rays and MRI.
Yeah, CT scan. It covers them all. So that's become the buzzword is he's going for imaging.
Yeah, it's something that he says, Soto, that it's not affecting him at the plate or on throws, but it has kind of been lingering for a little bit. So, yeah, we'll see. I know there was just a TV clip of Ken Rosenthal talking about the Yankee fan base being, really panicked about this, and losing Soto would be huge. But I think even if it's the imaging is okay, the Yankees can probably afford to sit him down for 10 days if as a precaution if they need to. So I would not be all that surprised if he had to go on the IL, but we're just waiting and seeing. Have to wait to see the lineup tonight for the Yankees. But in the Stake League, top pickup was Yimi Garcia. Got another save last night. Yimi Garcia did. And Jordan Romano, in the middle of a shutdown period right now, received an injection. He's kind of had a recurrence of this right elbow injury. So it's been really an issue for Romano all season long. So here's another window for Yimi Garcia to pick up saves.
I mean, who am I? It feels like a bad vibes around Romano. You know what I mean? It just
given how long this has been lingering.
And elbow. So I think at this point, who knows? Garcia could be more of a long-term fix. And Eric Swanson is not pitching well on the farm. So I think it's at least he wasn't when he first was sent down. So Garcia could be more, at least through the All-Star break. I mean, we'll see what happens after that, but saves is saves. I think it's it's better than, Tyler Kinley got a save with Colorado. Let's go get him. No. Let's stick with Yimi Garcia.
Yeah, he's kind of the best closer to come along in a few weeks. So it's been a few weeks since we've seen somebody open up the wallet like this. And I think it's, speaks to the lack of new closers coming into the pool in recent weeks. It's kind of been dry lately. Griffin Canning picked up for $5. Blake Perkins for $5. I had a bid in on him, but I actually had him behind the outfielder. I got Rob Refsnyder at $1. Perkins playing a lot against right-handed pitching, though. So if you need an outfielder, you need an outfielder.
And he's been, he already had a big game or a big doubleheader recently. I forget exactly what it was, but and a hot streak breeds playing time, and he is playing a lot, hitting down towards the bottom of the order. But absolutely, pick him up for $1, and then 2 weeks pick up someone else for $1. Same with Refsnyder. Well, Refsnyder playing even versus right-handers now, and hitting third in the Boston Red Sox order.
Yeah, sitting
So
surprisingly well.
why not? Willie Abreu was out. Why not? Masataka Yoshida, I guess, is hitting off of a tee.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that, I know what that means. It means there's a tee and he's hitting the ball. But what it means for his return, I don't know. So there's openings, and Ref Snyder's doing the job.
And I will say, for Blake Perkins' part, over the last 7 games, 5 multi-hit efforts. So
Yep.
He's another guy who's been swinging the bat pretty well. I've said that I don't like, go chasing those hot streaks, but I'm kind of doing that with Ref Snyder. So, you do what you have to do. Do you have a preference between Perkins and Ref Snyder in the outfield?
I think, Perkins intrigues me because isn't there a little speed there too? A little bit. I've seen some defense.
He's got 6 bags and 7 attempts this year.
Yeah,
Perkins does, but only a 690 OPS, even with that hot streak. So,
yeah, bottom of the order. They're both kind of fill-ins, and we'll see what happens. I think Ref Snyder's playing a little more right now, so probably Ref Snyder. But I need to check Milwaukee's schedule to see if they have lefties come. See if they have how many righties they have coming up.
Yeah, and as you said, Ref Snyder batting third. They seem intent on keeping him as a pretty regular part of that order. I know they said that they want to kind of give him an occasional day off to keep him healthy and productive. So they seem to have, a long-term plan to keep him as a regular.
We'll see.
At least for this year, not like
I know multi-year. There's injuries going on, so we'll see. True. We'll see when players get healthy. Yoshida, but right now, what have you done for me lately? Lately, they've both been good.
Well, we talked at the top of the show about how Jason Dominguez, him being pulled, not necessarily, directly related to Soto's injury. At least that's what the Yankees PR director said. He did say explicitly that it was not related, but we'll see. But we had a question in the chat about Dominguez. Would you drop Cedric Mullins for Dominguez? With the way Mullins has been trending, I would not be against that stash if you can.
I cannot say
if you have Mullins on your bench.
Yeah, I cannot say no to that one. It's not a pro Dominguez thing, as you suggest. It's I reviewed our lineups, the people that do our lineups, and it's like, why? Come on, Mullins has to play against. No, wait, he has sat, and he is warranted to be removed from our default lineups. Nemo, I'm not so sure. I think you're still going to leave Nemo, and this is not a. Let's not keep chasing these prospects. Dominguez is hitting a double. He's moved up to AAA, but we've seen what happens. Mm-hmm. Let's not assume that Dominguez hits the ground running. He's hit very well in the minor leagues, but a stash. Mullins isn't doing anything right now. Yes, but I'm not. Yeah. I'm not dropping him and assuming he's going to replace anybody who's even reasonable production right now. I think Nemo. We want better, but I'm not dropping Nemo.
Yeah, we've learned this season and in recent years that you have to keep expectations in check, keep them realistic for these youngsters. But I do not hate that, dropping Mullins for Dominguez, especially if Mullins is a bench guy for you right now. Take that
and if you're managing your team, he should be a bench guy for you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To be honest, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how much fab? I probably wouldn't go too crazy, but maybe it's 10 to 15%. Yeah,
that's
so contextual. That's true.
To me, 10 to 15% is high. That means that at some point you expect Dominguez to contribute, which is fair. If this is a long-term stash, sure, make sure you get him. If it's someone you think want to help short-term, lower him a waterfall.
Yeah, this is kind of your last opportunity to stash Dominguez if you want him. So if he's out there and you think he could help you, this is probably your last opportunity. I picked up Justin Henry Malloy of the Detroit Tigers. I'm actually not throwing him into my lineup right away, but just as a bench guy, I picked him up for 4. Has his first big league homer under his belt. He started at DH the past 3 games. So he's a guy that I added to the top the depth chart and to the batting orders. Can they have some moving parts with guys like Zach McKinstry, Akil Baddoo in the mix for starts against right-handed pitchers? But Malloy, they seem to want to give him a chance, and they lost Kerry Carpenter, so they're giving him a look now. Malloy,
right? I think that there are two things feeding into it. And you talked about this when you did the batting orders. It's not just Carpenter, but it's Spencer Torkelson being farmed, allowing Mark Canha to move to first, which clears up DH or fifth or corner outfield spot for Malloy. And you said Carpenter's out. Wensiel Perez is, he's one of those guys that, he's good, putting him in. Oh no, he's slumping, taking him out. Haven't been able to figure it out yet, but he does play center field, and that's a benefit. So I like Malloy as a stash, but like you said, the power's there. He wasn't really crushing it on the farm, but let's take a look. Let's take a look, because there's
I kind of had some dead weight on my bench anyway.
Yeah,
so. It's not just about, we've said it many times, but not just about it upgrading your active roster in Fab, but your bench too.
Yeah,
you're more than likely going to need those guys at some point. So I get it. Robbie Ray picked up for 4. We know a lot about Robbie Ray. He's been around a while. The latest is that he has begun his rehab assignment, though down at the Complex League. Only 3 innings. Only 1 inning Tuesday, so he may be a ways away. But another guy that could help you maybe a month from now.
Right. I think I was talking with Patrick Davitt on the HQ radio that'll be coming out probably sometime today. The thing with Cy Young, I did think of the same thing yesterday with Patrick. The thing with Tommy John is the velocity comes back, but the command and control are slower. So the fact that Ray's command and control is already an issue, does this help or hurt his cause? You know what I mean? I mean, maybe it doesn't matter as much, because he doesn't have as much command and control, and the velocity is good. So, I don't know if we could, you got to wait for the command and control to come back. Well, Ray doesn't have it to begin with. Anyway, no, just kind of a funny little thing. But anyway, point being, funny to me. Sorry. I like the stash. San Francisco, this has been a show up in September, throw some pitches in anger for next year. Ray could help out down the stretch after the All-Star break.
Yeah, and he is on the Giants now, in case you were wondering. And they have guys on the IL. Snell's been hurt. Wynn is kind of nearing a return, but I think there'll be plenty of opportunities for Ray.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah, and another guy in that, maybe not in the same mix because he's not coming back from Tommy John, but Clayton Kershaw picked up only a $0 stash actually. So he's expected to throw a 2-inning simulated game today, Clayton Kershaw, and still likely 6 weeks away per Matthew Moreno of DodgerBlue.com, but still a guy who's probably a net positive, Kershaw. We've seen him perform even if the innings kind of been, 120 to 130 the past several years.
For sure. And it's Clayton Kershaw, right? You just don't. You just never
on
know.
The Dodgers. Yeah,
it's just getting ready for the playoffs. So, do you guys have to, so many leagues, so many rules? Do you have to? You can go on your bench, right? In the snake league. Yeah. So for sure, worth the stash. And we talk about how valuable IL spots are, but by this point of the season, I mean, earlier on when the injuries start to hit, you're trying to find the replacements and find your speculative closers. You even in the NFBC type formats, TGFBI, the Earth leagues, you're starting to free up some reserves just because some of the other things are settled. Maybe guys are coming back from injury, and you can drop the guy that you were going to have as a replacement, so you can start to make these stashes. And I like that. I like that move.
Yeah, it's as exactly as you said, as guys return, you just kind of end up, having that replacement go back to your bench, and then that's just kind of dead weight. So why not? Let's keep that churn going on our roster and end up with some gems maybe. And one guy who I kind of am mad at myself that I didn't put in a bid on him last night, Max Meyer of the Miami Marlins. We got word from skipper Skip Schumacher that he expects Meyer back in the majors soon. Things have been going so well for me in this league on the pitching side with Brian Wu and Framber pitching well, and Luis Heel, who's been like my MVP. I just didn't have eyes on Meyer, but he's pitched well to start the year, and I think for whatever window he's up for the rest of the season, you'll probably want him active.
The manager, I want Craig Mish to say it, then I'll believe it, right?
Yeah, I do love Mish.
Yeah. Anyway, miss him. We don't see Craig as much, but he's doing some really great things. All right. Anyway, yeah, I know. Fine. And I mean, the Marlins pitching staff has been, I don't want to say black hole, been kind of revolving injuries, performance. At some point, I think the Marlins kind of have to commit to Meyer, right? And say, all right, I know you're injury prone, but you've shown what you can do in the minor leagues. You're here to stay. And hopefully, knock on wood, he can stay. He certainly has a talent.
Yeah, that's true. And, they've already kind of limited his innings. So maybe he just is mostly, reins off the rest of the way. We'll see. But I thought that was a good pickup. I shouldn't have let that one slip through. But Jack Sawinski's back in the big leagues. He goes for 2. They sent Ji-Hwan Bae down. Or I guess he was placed on the injured list, Bae.
Right.
Sorry. And yeah, Sawinski's, he's so hot and cold. He homered, of course, in his return. I get it. But I think I had him behind Ref Snyder as well. So, but yeah, looks like Jack, if you can get advantage and take advantage of one of those hot streaks, he can be a valuable player for sure.
Well, the problem is when you have so much swing and miss, you're tempting the market with the hot streak. It's not predictable. You get it, you don't. But the thing I was interesting with Sawinski, he was a pretty good defender because I thought he would have a little bit longer of a leash. But looking under the hood, he's just been terrible. So now you need him again. He's starting. He's playing. Like you said, he hit a home run. If you're behind and you need, is it 2 months in? Is it too far? It's a little early in desperation time. But I can see wanting to make up some ground and going for Sawinski, hoping, like you said, he gets in one of those heaters.
Yeah, it's a tough player to time up, but he has shown flashes. Although he's also had prolonged slumps, which have resulted in him heading to the minors 2 of the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Henry Davis back in the big leagues as well for Pittsburgh. This is only a 1 catcher league, so Davis is $0 ad here. In a 1 catcher league, not a guy I'm probably looking to pick up, but if you need a catcher, maybe. And then I want to give you some credit here. Joey Estes last week. I didn't see much, but you did, and you didn't see necessarily much, but you saw something there with Joey Estes of Oakland. And I remember seeing a good stat line from him in the box scores. I just think, man, that's why he's the Hall of Famer. Todd Zola.
No, I wouldn't go that far. You're forgetting my misses. But thank you for that. I'm not good at taking compliments. I'm not a Hall of Famer taking compliments. It's Oakland. Therefore, I'm interested. And there was a little with Estes. There's a bit of strikeout upside. So sure, give me a shot. Looking at Davis though, he earned the call up. He had 1,065 OPS on the farm.
AAA.
Yeah, 7 homers. Even had a steal. So it wasn't a. Yasmani Grandal not doing it. Well, he isn't doing the job, but Davis earned, go back down, work on some things. He earned it. So, I'm not saying that he is a catcher in a 16-team league, but I think the stash is fine. You never know.
Yeah, I think in those 2 catcher leagues, NFBC, he'll probably be picked up.
Sure.
If he hasn't already, now that he's back in the big leagues, Henry Davis. And then others to consider if they are available in your league, not available in the stake league, but might be worth checking to see if they're available still. Matt Waldron, the knuckleballer, really on a hot streak.
I want to play in the league when he's available. No, he should be picked up by now.
I was looking at the CBS roster page, and he was the top of the list of percent added, but it's a lot of backward looking.
Yeah, have I gone through my PSA about Yahoo, ESPN, and CBS on this podcast? I forget. Those leagues, those home leagues, are 10 and 12 team leagues with eight pitching staff, 8 pitchers usually. So, and there's usually daily leagues, head to head often, and you're only keeping 3 or 4 pitchers forever, without dropping. Mm-hmm. So the top 30 or 40 pitchers, they're the ones with the 90% rostership. Everybody else is less. So I see it all the time. Our colleagues saying, I can't believe someone's sold 36%. Matt Waldron, 36%. Well, of course, the NFBC is 100%. But is he a top 30 overall, top 40? No. But on the days, and we keep track of this at ESPN, on the days he's off, his rostership goes up. Then he gets dropped again. He's a burn and churn. So be careful looking at rosterships of these CBS, ESPN, Yahoo, just because it's very contextual.
True. Now that's it for pickups this week. We'll move on to our normal 2-star pitcher grades momentarily. But first, I'll bring you a quick word from our friends over at So Rare MLB. Have you ever dreamed of stepping into the shoes of a general manager? Welcome to So Rare MLB, a groundbreaking fantasy baseball game where you call the shots, take charge, and make your managerial mark by collecting officially licensed digital player cards of your favorite MLB stars. These aren't just any cards. They're your ticket to compete for over $1 million in total cash rewards and other amazing prizes. Imagine winning VIP trips to the MLB All-Star Game or getting your hands on signed merchandise from top MLB players. Here's how it works. Use your cards to set your lineup each game week. Real-world plays like hits, strikeouts, and homers will power your team's performance. Climb the leaderboards and snag weekly wins, from cash prizes to more cards and unforgettable experiences. But there's more. Build an iconic collection of your favorite teams and players to unlock gameplay bonuses and exclusive rewards. The rarer the card, the higher your score and the bigger your edge in competitions. And when you're ready to trade, the So Rare Marketplace offers a vibrant community of managers. Engage in live auctions, make instant buys, or trade cards peer-to-peer. Starting is absolutely free. Draft your first team of common cards today and feel the thrill of competition as you climb the ranks to baseball mastery. What are you waiting for? Join So Rare MLB today. Transform your passion for baseball into a quest for glory and get rewarded for your baseball savvy. Sign up today with the link in the description and get 50% off your first pro cards up to $50. It's your passion rewarded. We appreciate their sponsorship, of course, and also prize picks. So, Todd, let's move on to our 2-star pitchers. You can follow along with us. Customize the probable starting grid over at RotoWire. Start on the week of June 10th already, Todd. And of course, if you're unfamiliar, we rank 0 to 5, and 5 being the best, of course. And we'll start with a guy who really could have used spring training, Todd. No, I'm not talking about Blake Snell. I'm talking about another Boris client, Jordan Montgomery. Ugh, it has been a rough one, and you called it. You said, man, I think Boris is kind of doing these guys a disservice by not getting them into camp on time. And if it's directly related, who's to say? But I think it's easy to draw that line from a truncated spring training to Jordan Montgomery's struggles. But he is home against the Angels, then home against the White Sox. So pretty good opportunity to get right here for Jordan Montgomery. I think I'm going to give him a 3. What say you?
Yeah, Snell himself came out and said we need spring training. So that's interesting. Yeah. Of course, then everybody, well, how much? 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. Montgomery, man, these matchups, I gotta go 4. I gotta trust that this is the get well week. For they're both at home, and Arizona is a good place to pitch. I gotta go 4. I still trust.
Well, Atlanta's lines up tentatively. Keep in mind these are tentative, but we have Spencer Schwellenbach in for 2. A rough start to his big league career, and he's going to go to Baltimore then versus Tampa Bay. Tough AL East 2-step here for Schwellenbach, and I'm going to go 0, and I'm kind of wondering if there may be somebody else who ends up slotting in there.
I'm going to go 0 as well. This is a short-term 0. I still think Schwellenbach's got some long-term prospects, right? Development's been a little bit slowed. He had Tommy John after the draft. He was a hitter and a pitcher in college. So, after the Tommy John, he's just focusing on just pitching now. A little bit old for the level, but if you're in one of those leagues where you can pick a guy up now, stash him for the future, like it a lot. But I'm not using him this week. And I think even next week he's got a tough start. We're going over this with James Anderson. If you're really patient, he's got like the White Sox in a couple of weeks. So, like you said, though, will he be around?
Yeah. Eddie in the chat mentioned Hurston Waldrop, who's one of their top prospects. So he may be up. That's a good call by Eddie in the chat there.
Yeah, this isn't the Braves aren't trying to replace an injured fifth starter. They're trying to find their fifth starter. They haven't had anybody all year. And I still think A.J. Smith-Shawver may get the job by the end, but he's now hurt as well.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Well, Corbin Burns, Albert Suarez for the Baltimore Orioles. They're going to be Burns is going to be at Tampa Bay, then versus Philly. Then Suarez is versus Atlanta versus Philly. So, pretty rough, kind of a tough two-step for Suarez, but
kind of.
Well, we mentioned last week we kind of have to recalibrate Atlanta.
That's true.
And they are both at home for Suarez, which is great pitcher's park. But Burns is going to be a 5. That one's easy. Suarez, he's pitched so well. I think I'm going to have to give him a 3. I like the idea of trotting him out, even with Atlanta and Philly.
I'm going to go 2, but I think it doesn't matter. I think we're both using him, and if he happens to be available, looking to pick him up, I'm just a little less sure about the quality.
Yeah, it may be a bit of a trap given how well he's pitched, but at home, I just on that team.
No, it's justified. And my rankings, I'm going these off the cuff again. So in the former rankings, he may come out to be a 3. We'll see.
Well, I'm going to turn this one over to you to start because it is your hometown team, the Boston Red Sox. Cutter Crawford. Tentatively lining up for Tuesday versus Philly, then next Sunday, the 16th, against the Yankees at home. So 2 home starts for Crawford versus Philly versus the Yankees. What say you?
So let's quickly point out that he's going to be on extra rest. The Red Sox are going with a bullpen game Sunday, to push everybody up a little bit. I don't want to say the magic dust is wearing off, but Crawford isn't as effective as he was early. Now, this is a tough 2 start, right?
Yeah.
I don't think, this one's tough. And as I've talked about, I'm sometimes immune to how good of a hitter's park Fenway Park is just because I see it all the time. Mm-hmm. That if someone else is looking at this game, they would be saying, I'm not starting him. Really, really good matchups, really, really tough matchups in a really good hitter's park. And I'm going to still go 2, but I bet you other people would go lower.
Yeah, that's what I typed in to start, and I'm with you on that. Just, he's pitched pretty well, but, man, that's a tough 2-step. Kind of, I don't have the numbers, WOBA or WRC+, but I'd imagine that's the top offense in both the NL and the AL, right?
Well, I do have the numbers, and I haven't have them up. No, why are the Mets up top?
Must have it sorted the opposite direction.
No, I had away. The Mets, for whatever reason, done really well away. Maybe because at home they're terrible. Yankees 335, Dodgers 332, Brewers 322. That's a little bit surprise. Phillies have done it 320, but this is part, and we've talked about this. Part of the struggle of this exact kind of analysis is: do we look back for the entire season? Do we look back?
2 weeks, a month. Yeah,
there is no perfect. Time
cutoff.
Time.
Yeah,
I mean the Orioles this past week, they went into the week like 13th in WOBA against righties, and now they're like 8th because they were like the best team this past week. So what do you look at? So
that is true. That's why baseball is such an inexact science. There's no cutoff point. There's no special key stat that unlocks everything. But yeah, endpoints can be arbitrary, certainly. Well, no 2-star pitchers for the Cubs, tentatively, because we're projecting Jordan Wicks back in that rotation next week. He worked a rehab start Sunday, 3 and 3rd innings at AAA Iowa. So just a player to keep in mind, Jordan Wicks. And then the Reds sent down Graham Ashcraft. Wow. They're going with a 4-man rotation for now, 2 off days next week. So with a 4-man rotation for the time being, Hunter Green lines up for 2. He had that great stretch where he really looked like he was blossoming into a real ace, and struck out 8 yesterday, but I did give up 4 runs against the Cubs. I've been really liking what I've seen from Hunter Green lately versus Cleveland at Milwaukee. Still not quite a 5, but I think I'm going to go 4 on Hunter Green.
Cleveland isn't quite as scary as they were earlier. Whereas, as kind of alluded to, the Brewers are sneaky. I'm gonna go 4 as well. And even though we're assuming that with the two off days that Hunter Green starts twice, he may not. So keep that in mind as well. Well, I think you're using Hunter Green regardless.
Yeah, Eddie in the chat mentioned Brandon Williamson as an option to replace Ashcraft in the rotation eventually. They do have Nick Martinez still, in that bullpen, who's kind of a swing man. So we'll have to see what they decide to do once that they need that 5th spot again. The Guardians also have 2 off days, and they have a full 5-man, so no 2-star pitchers for them. And then Dakota Hudson, that's got to be a 0, right? Even with one of those on the road.
Yeah, you don't even need to tell me where. No, that's a 0.
Yeah, that's got to be a 0 on Dakota Hudson. Then Erick Fedde at Seattle, at Arizona. Same for Jake Woodford. I think we can agree Jake Woodford's a 0.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you land on Erick Fedde for this week?
At least a 3.
Yeah.
At least. Seattle just struck out again, and they're not playing. Oh, the Red Sox just struck out too. Who knew that first series of the year when they were all just striking out like so much? Who knew that was actually what the teams were and not just a one weekend thing? I'm going to go 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers are a little bit more optimistic. Fedde's been good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has. Well, do you think they're going to trade Crochet and Luis Robert and all them? Probably trade Fedde too. Why not?
Well, the thing with the White Sox is they're not 1 or 2. They're years from competing. You're right.
True.
They
might as well tear it all down.
Yeah, they're not like, if we trade Robert, we can. Or we need to keep Robert because we're only a year or 2 away. So that's just an interesting. It's just you need a complete commitment, the fan base, everything else, and that's just so hard to do. But they haven't proved to be adept at drafting, making trades. It's a shame. And a lot of that's been ownership over the past few years, and things could change. But I would trade Crochet just because I don't think he's ever going to be you're not going to get more back, before he's injured. Mm-hmm. Robert, you almost want to let him stay healthy for a long stretch and then deal him. I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah, but I think Fedde's, it's only a 1-year deal, I believe.
Yeah.
Let me double check that. But yeah, might as well. I don't think his value is probably ever going to get higher. It was a 2-year deal.
2-year deal, but it's a soft contract.
Yeah, $15 million.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jack Flaherty left his last start with back tightness. He'd been cruising. Hadn't showed any ill effects of the injury on the field anyway. 5 shutout innings on only 60 pitches, 2 hits allowed. Still haven't heard that he's, definitely in the clear for this, but we haven't heard otherwise either. So we're projecting Flaherty for Tuesday versus Washington, then the 16th at Houston. One of the best stories, as far as free agent additions this year. It does have a losing record, but he has pitched lights out, Jack Flaherty. So, with the caveat that we still need to check and wait and see his as far as his health status goes. I think I'm going to give Jack Flaherty I think I'm only going to give him a 3.
Yep, I am as well. Even though we've said that there's no luck involved with Jack Flaherty, at least as far as comparing the underlying metrics to his actual performance. Whether he can maintain those underlying metrics all season remains to be seen. But it's not like, oh, look at that left on base. Look at that BABIP. He's matching Tarek Skubal strikeout for strikeout, walk for walk.
Wow.
So.
Well, a guy who wasn't available in the stake league, but I picked him up in Derek Van Riper's Mocky League for $6. He lines up for 2 for Houston. Spencer Arrighetti, Mr. Spaghetti himself, at San Francisco versus Detroit. Pretty nice 2-step, and he's, after some struggles initially, he's pitched pretty well. Now, he is also day-to-day, like Flaherty. He's got a calf issue, but he expects to make his next turn through the rotation. So, it's arbitrary endpoint caveats as we kind of talked about, but over his last 5 starts, he has a 3.55 ERA, 30 Ks in his last 25 and a third innings. Is this a trap here with Spencer Arrighetti?
They're not arbitrary. They're selective to make our argument look good. That's not arbitrary. That's purposeful. I'm just being silly.
That's a good point.
He has the skills have improved. Not that he came in to MLB with flying colors, but he has gotten better. Houston has a way of seeing what you got, making it work better for you. Yeah, I mean, San Francisco and Detroit. I don't. At this point, I've been following the chat. I'm not even sure what you said. I'm gonna give Arrighetti a 2, but I'm using him.
Yeah, I actually didn't say number, but I'm
okay.
lean 2 as well. And then Seth Lugo, 9-1, 2.13 ERA. He's home against the Yankees, then at the Dodgers. So
we wouldn't have even spent a second on this if it was the first game at the first week of the year, right? Next.
Yeah.
But
the way he's pitched, we have to at least consider it.
Lugo's one of those guys that I believe that the deader baseball has been helping him a bunch. Doesn't have the story about the home runs. The fly balls are getting caught in that big place, Kauffman Stadium. Even with these matchups, I think he merits a 3.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you're.
I've been looking for reasons. I've been looking for reasons to warn people off of Lugo, and I can't find them.
Yeah.
Other than he's Lugo, right?
Too.
That's trite at this point. He's Seth Lugo. That's trite. We need to be better than that. I can't point to anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are kind of in agreement now, right? That I think we have enough evidence to suggest the ball is deader this year.
Did a piece this week. The ball is flying 2 or 3 feet, depending on what you're comparing it to. At least 2 feet less than and that's on the average. So deeper fly balls, it's the distance shorter. It is, and it's with the same exit velocity. So there's something with the baseball. And what happened? Even when the weather warms up, home runs will go up, but I don't think they'll catch up to previous seasons. But within each season, it's still relative. You still want to find the months of each individual season where run scoring is least and one scoring is most, and try to use your hitters during the good months and pitchers during their good months. It's kind of hard to figure out when that's going to be. The data's all over the place, but the ball is not traveling as far, and it doesn't. Certain pitchers get hurt or helped more than others, and I think Lugo's the one that's getting helped more.
Yeah, he's kind of in that sweet spot. It's looking like where he benefits big time from changes to the flight patterns, intentional or not. But yeah, we both agree on Lugo at 3. Despite those matchups, I feel less confident in Brady Singer, although he's also pitched really well.
I agree, but I'm a Singer guy, as you know, so
I'm only going to go 2. I assume that's where
I am as well. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this one though, because mainly because I've been burned by Singer, so it's one of those, I should go into it with blinders each week. But these are a couple of tough matchups. Yeah,
true. Could be a regression week for Singer and Lugo, but I feel it's funny how that works. Just given his success, we know that past success doesn't necessarily translate, but just the way he's pitched, it's been off the charts. So I'd still probably trot Lugo out. I'd be pretty reluctant on Singer, but maybe certain situations. Jose Soriano, would you consider him? He hasn't pitched all that poorly, but that team is so bad. At Arizona, at San Francisco, is Jose Soriano on your radar?
Yes. Strikeouts. If you want your strikeouts, they're there. A lot of other stuff is there too, but he is. The question was, is he on your radar? He's on my radar. These 2 games I could see using him too, at Arizona, at San Francisco. So 2.
Okay, I was leaning 1, but I got you down as a 2. We'll, of course,
I'm going to go the strikeouts there too. Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, no 2-star pitchers for the Dodgers because we're projecting Bobby Miller back. So he's scheduled for tonight with AAA Oklahoma City. 3 1/3 innings last Saturday. So maybe this is his last rehab start. Not for sure, but Miller could return next week. That's well within the realm of possibility. Then Jesus Luzardo, performance-wise, has been nowhere near expectations. Gave up a 9 spot his last time out against Tampa Bay. He'd been pitching pretty well before that, but he's been all over the map this year, Jesus Luzardo. Any idea what's going on with this guy?
Other than he's really irritating me. Just as you start to think he's got it figured out, he lays up a stinker, and then you watch the game and you're really not sure why. You can't point to anything. So just now we need some. I don't know if there's something in his head about not wanting to throw this pitch or that pitch. He's afraid of getting hurt or whatever it might be. But it's frustrating. And there's talk of potentially the trading of him in Miami, whether that's getting into him or not. Who's to say? So what we got this week? We've got the Mets, which you like, and all right, here's another good week, right? Here's another week you're expecting good things. I'm going to say 4, and I'm going to, cross my fingers.
Okay, you're going 4. I put down a 3, but I'll put you down as a 4. I believe Ken Rosenthal said he is the most likely player to be traded, Jesus Luzardo. So, his days in Miami likely numbered. All right, well, before we move on to Milwaukee and the rest of Major League Baseball's 2-start pitchers for next week, let's pause briefly, bring you a quick word from our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country. Prize Picks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. You just pick more or less on 2 or more players and watch the winnings roll in. Todd, have you checked out our Prize Picks tool that's new to RotoWire? Have you had a chance?
I have, yes. And it's more about, I'm going to think about my pick. Then I'm going to see what Prize Pick says. And if we're in agreement, I'm clicking that bad boy in. Been pretty good so far.
Yeah, it's really cool across various sports. And it's rotowire.com/picks/prize picks. That's the URL. And I'll take tonight the over on Dalton Varsho's total bases. It's 0.5. And look, I know he had some issues early, but Varsho's kind of quietly been really valuable this year. A lot on the defensive side, which doesn't count for fantasy. But aside from that low batting average, I think everything else looks pretty good for old Dalton Varsho. And I'll also take the over on Yordan Alvarez, 1.5 total bases. That's, higher, but it is Yordan Alvarez against the Angels. So give me Yordan Alvarez tonight. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download the app today and use code ROTOPOD for a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code ROTOPOD for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. We appreciate their sponsorship, and we'll be back momentarily on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. All right, we are back on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Clay Link here with Todd Zola, making our way through the rest of the 2-star pitchers for next week, the week of June 10th, 2024, and Colin Ray lined up for 2 for Milwaukee. Although they've been throwing who was it, Jared Koenig as their opener every game.
Yeah, twice in a row, and it messes up all the flags that we have. He started already, changed it. No, exactly. That's right. But it's
kind of annoying.
Well,
I think today they have. Well, last I checked, they hadn't even confirmed Freddie Peralta for tonight.
Yeah, the odds. I've been needing to post the odds for another piece that I do, and it wasn't on the board. The game last time I checked, and it's because of Peralta's not quite named to be starter. We'll check now, but anyway, at least at the time.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Well, Colin Ray, even if he does come in as the primary bulk guy, he's versus Toronto, versus Cincinnati. First place Brewers, they're getting it done, even with Craig Counsell gone and some turnover there. I think I'm only going to go 1 on Ray, though. Maybe I could see the case for 2, but I'm waiting for Toronto to wake up. I guess 2 on Ray, but it feels
I'm gonna stick with your 1. Whereas I've been convinced on Lugo, I haven't been convinced on Ray, not even close. So anyway,
well, some people in the chat were mentioning the struggles of Chris Paddock lately, and Pablo Lopez. Both have ERAs north of 5. Far more surprising in Pablo Lopez's case. I think he's a pretty good buy low, but they're both going to be versus Colorado versus Oakland. Pretty good week to get right, you'd think. Both at home, Colorado and Oakland. Lopez, I'm going to give a 4. I still think he's a high-end pitcher. I don't know what's in the water there in Minnesota right now. Paddock, on the other hand, I have him in Tout Wars head-to-head, but I think that's maybe the only spot I'd use him. I mean, with these matchups, I'd say a 2 probably. It's like a 1 pitcher with 3 matchups, so I'm going to say 2.
3? I think these are 5 matchups.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, 4 matchups.
I think they're 5 matchups. I'm good. Yeah, Paddock is so inconsistent. I'm going to go 2 there. I agree. I mean, Lopez should be a snap 5, but there's something happening, so I'm going to go 4.
What about Tyler McGill of the Mets versus Miami versus San Diego? Tylor, by the way, first name is for Tyler McGill. Pitching okay. This guy is harder for me to figure out right now because he went 7 innings scoreless, and then at Washington gave up 4 earned runs over 5. I expect some inconsistency with a guy like this. Let me double check these matchups. What were they?
Miami and San Diego both at home.
Miami, San Diego. I think I'm going to go with 2, I think.
I'll take your 3. I kind of like McGill a little bit. San Diego is scary in that they should be better, but I'm gonna go 3. There's some strikeout potential there.
And on to the Yankees now. They're going to be at KC, at Boston. Carlos Rodon and Marcus Stroman. I've seen some people suggest Rodon as a sell high. You could see it if you can, given his injury history and the fact that he does have 8 wins banked already. But at KC, at Boston, until he gets hurt, I think Rodon's probably a 3 for me.
Yeah, here's my my Boston bias, and that I'm now it's actually anti-bias. All right, I'm going to stick with a 3. I am as well. I was thinking it could be a 4, but I'm going to go with a 3.
And what say you on Marcus Stroman at KC, at Boston?
Well, against the Red Sox, the strikeouts are there. The thing is, I don't think they're both the same. I like Rodon more. But I should go 4 and 3. This, if it's not too late, we didn't take our finger off the piece. I'm going to go 4 and 3. Rodon 4, Stroman 3.
I got you there. Not too late at all. And then Joey Estes, who I mentioned, you had a good call, and you said that you would consider him last week, and he went out and pitched 6 1/3 scoreless against Seattle. 5 Ks, only 1 hit allowed, no walks. So. Yeah, somebody who's kind of put himself on the radar. He and J.P. Sears are the 2-star pitchers for Oakland. At San Diego, at Miami.
Minnesota.
I'm sorry, at Minnesota, yeah. So at San Diego, at Minnesota. I think I'm going to go 2 on both these guys.
Yeah, I really like the matchup against Seattle because of the strikeouts. So it's not like it wasn't as much pro Estes, but he showed what he can do. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go 2 on both. Lefty, righty. That's interesting. I'm going to go 2 as well. Both on the road. You don't love Minnesota as a park. It's a sneaky hitter's park. Royce Lewis is back, looking really good. But yeah, 2 and 2.
Zach Wheeler's an easy 5. That's kind of usually we have a few of those layups. I think that's kind of the first layup.
Yeah, against tough teams, but it's a 5.
Yeah.
Here's a layup, or is it?
Colorado. I would say it is a layup. Actually, I'm going to go 5, I think, on Paul Skenes Mr. Skenes has been quite impressive in his debut, and I think this is the first time we've had him lined up for 2. So it's at St. Louis, at Colorado. I'm going to go 5, and our friend Vlad Sedler, I think, was suggesting that Paul Skenes could be like a first-round pick next year, which may seem like a stretch, but do you think we could see that in some of those high-stakes NFBC leagues, Paul Skenes in the first round?
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't say that I would do it or advocate it, but then, my track record in that competition, you don't want to necessarily listen to what I say anyway, as far as that goes. He fits the mold, strikes out people, has that fuzzy, warm, fuzzy feeling, the shiny new toy. He's certainly good. I don't know that I don't think there will be enough of an innings concern relative to some other pitchers next year. Mm-hmm. So I think I was talking with James. And it's like if the strike against a pitcher nowadays is he hasn't yet had Tommy John surgery, and that's kind of what you know what I mean. If that's the worst thing you could say, he's going to get it at some point. Being somewhat tongue in cheek there, but if that's the worst thing you could say, there's a lot going right. I've seen him. You've seen him. I haven't seen a right-hander with as much tail on the pitch, and he controls it. It's fascinating.
Yeah, he's incredible, and I've been really impressed with Jared Jones as well. So they have 2 guys there who are kind of blossoming and look like they could head up that rotation in Pittsburgh for many years to come. We'll see. Dylan Cease lines up for 2 next week for San Diego versus Oakland at the Mets. Pretty nice for Cease. Looking like a good pickup, and maybe the Padres and White Sox can work out another deal, maybe for Crochet or somebody else. But Cease, I think I'm going to give him a 5 at these matchups.
I'm not even going to think about it. He's the way it's a 5.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess I have to get over that hump because the walks have always kind of held me back from a 5 on Cease, but
they've come down. I mean,
yeah, they've come down.
I don't have a way to judge peace of mind, but man, going from White Sox to San Diego, you got to think he's just not as afraid to walk people, go after people. The park will help him. So, I mean, maybe next time something like that occurs, I will override my system and give him a little bit more credit. But yeah, I'm convinced I was on the lower end of Cease than the market. And that has to do with the market is so high on strikeouts. And anybody who struck out a bunch of people with a high walk rate, I was down. I was, less. I was, more bearish on. But anyway.
Well, Logan Gilbert and Brian Wu. How about Brian Wu as a number 5 starter? 107 ERA. Pretty nice situation to have there, at least on the pitching side of Seattle. We'll see if they can ever start hitting. Versus the White Sox versus Texas, 2 home starts. I'm still not going to give Wu a 5 yet because he has kind of had the recurring elbow thing or forearm where you just can't get loose sometimes between innings, especially after a long inning. So I think I'm going to go 4 on Wu, but Gilbert's a 5.
Yeah, I'm going to 5 and 4. Similar reason for Wu is he hasn't, and it's kind of, you just said you just explained my reason is, a 5, I want to write down 6 innings every time, and you can't do that with Wu.
Yeah, he's pitched brilliantly, but there is that kind of lingering concern with him.
Because he's their 5th guy, the Mariners can, I don't use the word baby because I don't like the tone, but they can manage Wu. They don't have to press him into innings.
Yeah, that's true. Kyle Harrison, 22-year-old lefty for the Giants. He went out and had a quality start his last time out, but 8 hits, and over his last 2 starts, he's given up 20 hits in 11 innings. So he's been pretty hittable lately versus Houston, versus the Angels. Well, I'm going to turn this one over to you to start.
I'm still getting over the fact he's only 22. Doesn't he seem like he's older than that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, now that I'm over that, Houston is not the Houston that we're used to, but they're not terrible at all. The Angels at home. I got to go with 2 on Harrison. I don't love it, but I got to go with 2. He's one of those you know, I mean, he doesn't have a great floor, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. The floor does kind of scare you, not so sturdy. For the Cardinals, we have Steven Matz set to return. He has been cleared for a rehab assignment, or at least he was cleared to begin one yesterday. So let's see, he threw 2 innings only. So maybe next week is a little aggressive for him, but that's what we have right now. So we will skip the St. Louis Cardinals. Next up here, Todd, we have Ryan Pepio. And the guy I like coming off a hot spring, he's spent some time on the IL, but he's pitched pretty well overall. Versus Baltimore at Atlanta, kind of a tough call on Ryan Pepio. What say you on Pepio?
Yeah, the thing with any Rays pitcher is they can flip on a dime. Don't love the matchups. I like the fact that at least the first one's at home. I'm gonna go 2. Okay, and Eflin then has the Cubs, right? He doesn't have Baltimore.
Yeah.
But it's at Atlanta. I'm gonna go 2 with Eflin. I'm just coming back. I don't know how deep he's gonna go either. It probably deserves more, but I'm gonna go 2.
Pause briefly to bring you an update from our friend Angelo in the chat. He mentioned that Soto received a preliminary diagnosis of left forearm inflammation after undergoing imaging per John Heyman of the New York Post. Soto out of the lineup today. So at least we have that preliminary diagnosis and day to day for the time being. That's at least, probably the best news you could have hoped for on Soto. But still, you can't rule out an IL stint if this lingers. But might want to get him out of your NFBC lineups tonight. All right. So, by the way, what did we say on Kyle Harrison? Did we say...
I said 2, and you kind of just blew it off. You ghosted me.
I kind of forgot to write down. I'm going to only say 1.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair.
I got you.
That's fair.
And Pepio, I put down a 3. What say you on Pepio?
I'm going 2 on both, and let's move on before I switch it Evelyn to a 3. I'm going to go 2 on both. I need to see more out of Evelyn.
I'm going to go 3 there because, he only went 3 innings, or he went 4 innings in his return. Evelyn did. So he, may still be working under some sort of limitation, but
yeah, okay.
I still like him. Nathan Eovaldi has pitched well, but he's got to face the Dodgers in Los Angeles. Then he does get at Seattle, kind of a nice way to bounce back there in the second half of the week. Can't give Eovaldi a 5, that's for sure, but I think I'm only going to give him I'll give him a 4. He's pitched really well.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's completely stretched out yet, but I think he could be okay for this game. You know what? I mean, he's a big game pitcher. He's always pitched well against the Yankees. I'm not as scared about the Dodgers just because Eovaldi has a way to navigate through good lineups. I'm going to go 4 as well.
Jose Barrios, a 2.8 ERA, 5-4. He's at Milwaukee, then versus Cleveland. Another guy where I'm going to stop short of a 5 because he just doesn't. He's not in that elite group for me, but a 4, I think, for Barrios.
Yep, I agree.
And then here we'll finish with an easy one. Patrick Corbin.
Is it? You know what? Is it easy?
It's a 0. I mean, no chance I'm starting him, even if it is at Detroit
in Miami. Aren't you going to think about it?
No.
Neither am I. He's going to be picked up, though.
Yeah, somebody will convince themselves, but come on. We've been down this road for, 5 years now? Where he's been the worst starter in baseball for 4 or 5 years running.
I mean, this is going to sound dumb. It says something that he's been around that many years and still stink. I guess it says he has a big contract and the Nationals need the innings to be eaten.
Yeah,
I promise you, we'll go to the NFBC page when they post the results and we'll control left Corbin and he's going to be picked up.
Yeah, I agree. I've been down that road, and last time I went down that road was probably 3 years ago. Never again.
And he was so good for a couple of years.
Oh yeah, he won it. Did he win a Cy?
I don't know if he won it, but that wasn't close. I mean,
I was thinking of Robbie Ray, but
yeah, his slider was wipeout for a couple of years. Anyway,
yeah, he was good for a few years. He got that big contract from Oakland, or from Washington.
Yeah,
but Okay, so he was a 2-time All-Star. Finished 5th in the Cy Young in 2018. That's what it was.
All right.
Ah, man, it seems like a lifetime ago. All right, well, let's recap our 2-star pitcher grades for the week of June 10th, 2024. Jordan Montgomery, I say 3, Todd 4. Spencer Schwellenbach, 0. Corbin Burns, 5. Albert Suarez, I say 3, Todd 2. Cutter Crawford, 2. Hunter Green, 4. Dakota Hudson, 0. Jake Woodford, 0. Erick Fedde, 3. Jack Flaherty, 3. Spencer Arrighetti, 2. Seth Lugo, 3. Brady Singer, 2. Jose Soriano, I say 1, Todd 2. Jesus Luzardo, I say 3, Todd 4. Colin Ray, I say 2, Todd 1. Pablo Lopez, 4. Chris Paddock, 2. Tyler McGill, I say 2, Todd 3. Carlos Rodon, 4. Marcus Stroman, 3. Joey Estes, 2. JP Sears, 2. Zach Wheeler, 5. Paul Skenes, 5. Dylan Cease, 5. Logan Gilbert, 5. Brian Wu, 4. Kyle Harrison, I say 1, Todd 2. Ryan Pepio, I say 3, Todd 2. Zach Eflin, I say 3, Todd 2, I believe.
Yeah.
I put Zach Eflin 3, Todd 3, so I mistyped, but I think you had it 2. Nathan Eovaldi, 4. Jose Barrios, 4. Patrick Corbin, 0. Well, great stuff. We appreciate everybody in the chat.
Almost everybody.
Yeah, almost everybody. But yeah, we appreciate you who stop in on Fridays and hang with us, even if it's just occasionally. We appreciate you popping in and contributing to the conversation. Anything else on your mind on this Friday afternoon, Todd?
I kind of alluded to it. I'm doing the Baseball HQ Radio this week. Follow along on SiriusXM Fantasy Radio. RotoWire is doing the all-time fantasy draft, where the rules are really loose. If you ask me a question about the rules, my answer is I don't know. But it's been kind of fun. I've been filling in this week, and you think we should rename this podcast Gibberish and Babble?
Well, maybe we did a little too much of that at the start for some, but I didn't ask you how your week was or anything. So
No, we're fine. We're good.
We got right into the Soto conversation, but yeah, no, it's appreciate everybody who comes and hangs out. It's part
Absolutely.
of the fam, and we'll be back with you every Friday through the end of the season, and I look forward to it, Todd.
Look forward to it as well.
Hope you'll join us next time on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code ROTOPOD for a 100% deposit match. We'll talk to you guys next time on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast.